Hello and welcome to the Daily Atheist Morning Show. It is Wednesday, the 25th of November, 2020. I am your host, the amazing Super Chris. Thank you for joining me on this ungodly hour. We're going to talk about stuff, aliens, God, I guess, with aliens, God and aliens, Jesus, aliens, lizard people, maybe lizard people. I don't know if we're going to talk about the lizard people or not. My co-host, Andy Hall from the Laughing in Disbelief blog over at Patheos will be joining me in just a minute. He's also got a channel here on YouTube. Links are below. Go subscribe. And Nokasuchi from the Rage channel will also be joining me. And we got Daniel Fisk Bennett from the Atheists Against Pseudoscience Nonsense channel. Apropos. Am I not right? Apropos. Okay, he'll be here and we'll be doing this right after the thing. Hold on, watch this. This is cool. Hello and welcome to Shakespeare with a Redneck. What the? I am Wild Bill Wigglestick, and I'll be your handsome host, your gilded guide, your cowboy concierge of Shakespeare. Dude, really? Today on Shakespeare with a Redneck, I'm going to perform the prologue from Romeo and Juliet. Damn it, Bill. Two households, both alike in dignity, in fair Verona, where we lay our scene. From ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean. From forth the fatal loins of these two foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their life, whose misadventured piteous overthrows doth with their death bury their parents' strife. The fearful passage of their death-marked love and the continuance of their parents' rage, which but their children's end not could remove, is now the 2 hours traffic of our stage, the which if you with patient ears attend, what here shall miss, our toil shall strive to mend. Hey, that wasn't half bad. I'm not as dumb as I look. Of course not. You'd be in a coma. Okay, so here's a quick rundown of the situation. Bill, two snot-nosed brats ignore the warnings of their learned parents and end up getting 4 people killed. Bill, come on, man. You're always blah, blah, atheist stuff, blah, blah, boring. Say something fun, for goodness sake. What? Particle is a fun word. Bill, particle. Bill. Or talk about horses and dogs. People love horses and dogs. Or boobies. Everybody loves boobies. Bill. Oh, can I say boobies on YouTube? If you close your eyes, it doesn't count. Talk about boobies then. Okay, everybody loves those cute little blue-footed bastards. It hurts right here. Culture, baby, coming at you. Avoid bringing a plague on both your houses. A plague on both your houses! By hitting that subscribe button, then that little notification bell. And bang that thumbs up button like frisky cousins at a family reunion. Thank you and take care. Peace. All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. I hope you're having a good week so far. Andy, how you doing, buddy?
You know, when I looked at the topic for today's discussion, I said to myself, maybe I have nothing to really say about this particular topic, this subject. But then I was just thinking about the 1978 TV show Project UFO, which was based on Project Blue Book. And of course, if anyone is old enough to have seen that series, the intro starts with, "And Ezekiel saw the wheel." So maybe I do have something to say about this particular subject. I am doing well, Chris and Daniel and Mr. Alien Rage and friends, neighbors, and countrymen. And country ladies and country peoples. I'm doing well. Yes.
That is good to hear. Good. And you, Nokasuchi, how you doing this morning, brother?
Pretty good. I didn't feel all that great yesterday, but I'm feeling a lot better. So I'm thinking it's just a short little stomach bug I had, and I'm feeling a lot better today. Busy day for me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this conversation.
You said you were cootie infested possibly again, or it's different kinds of cooties. You know, how do you get that kind of... And I got another question for you. If it's a resurgence of the COVID, are you then again infectious?
I don't think so. The way it was explained to me is after 10 days, I was no longer contagious. I could no longer pass it 10 days after showing symptoms. So, but that's a good question. That's something that they never really clarified, is if it does resurge, then am I then contagious again? I'm not really sure.
That's interesting. Yeah. Well, anyway, I hope you're doing all right.
Yeah, I feel a lot better today. So I think it was a stomach flu. It felt more like the flu than the COVID thing. So something,
huh? Good morning, Daniel. How you doing, bud? Thank you for joining us this morning.
It is morning. I'm pretty sure we won't even see any sunlight coming out my window throughout this entire show.
Yeah, that is possible. Yeah. Well, I thought it was a fun one. It was a lighthearted topic. Somebody in one of the chats, one of the Facebook groups, I'm not sure if they were teasing me or not. And they're like, "Hey, how come you haven't talked about aliens and conspiracy stuff?" And I'm like, "Well, all right,
Right?
oh, you twisted my arm." And then Daniel was here yesterday, and Daniel's like the pseudoscience guy, and I thought,
Yeah, I hear it all. I've been hearing it all for the past 5 years.
Yeah.
So
Well, I have some thoughts on. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you'd be amazed at some of the things that I'll hear.
I bet. All right, guys. Before we get too far along, I want to say hello to everyone in the chat. Good morning, all you wonderful people. Critical Cripple. Let's see. Sammy Jenkins. Sean. Good morning, Sean. Speed of Sound. I kind of got my pages in the wrong place. But good morning, everybody, to all you people watching on the various YouTube pages or YouTube channels and Facebook pages. All you guys, you're wonderful. I hope you're having a good week so far. We're to the halfway point. Getting ready to go do that voodoo and get to the weekend. I'm still a weekend lover. But I hope you're all having a wonderful day. We have got an interesting topic. I think Andy now has an opinion on a few things that I didn't think he had before. Whenever he first woke up, he's like, "Bitch, what are you doing?" And he's like hitting me with hate in the chat. And I'm like, "Oh." Anyway,
Can we talk about how much I hate Michael Bay and those Transformer movies too? I don't know if that really fits into this conversation, but
it doesn't hurt.
I find the Transformer movies unwatchable.
They're hard.
The first one was decent.
Yeah, they just hurt my. I mean, I used to love my Transformers when I was a kid. Anyway, yeah, we'll get to that. I'm sure we can touch back on that. Nokasuchi though has got a lot to say. I believe. Well, yeah, I do believe.
I believe the New Testament, at least the Gospels part of the New Testament, reads very peculiarly like a UFO visitation story. If you go back and read it and you get rid of all of the indoctrinations from your childhood, apply what you know with your modern lens, I believe if you read it, then you will see a very different story unfold.
Okay. Well, we mentioned Ezekiel before the show. But you're talking New Testament.
Yeah, it would be more New Testament. The Old Testament, is from what I've seen. Yeah, I mean, there's some weird stuff back there. But like, if you really want to get weird with the Old Testament, you really need to get into like Book of Enoch, which isn't included in any Christian Bible.
Star of
should
David.
have had Richard on.
The Star of David.
Yeah, Richard.
Mr. Rage. Is that a UFO or not?
I'm not. I'm not sure. I'd have to ask Richard on that.
Because the Star of David moves. It can't be a star. It can't be any kind of regular heavenly object, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I had Aaron Adair on my old show, Naked Diner, a couple of years ago, and he wrote a book about the Star of Bethlehem, basically saying the Star of Bethlehem can't be any kind of regular, everyday celestial object because of what it's described to do in the New Testament.
Yeah, I definitely think that was put forward by like the ancient astronaut theory, ancient aliens on a History Channel. Just for all clarification, I find all of this silly. I don't subscribe to any of that nonsense. I laugh at it, but I do find it funny that the gospel can be interpreted in a certain kind of way if you go into it with that in mind, right? So, like, they're perfect examples. I even got Matt Powell to admit, by the definition of the word, like when you think about alien, an alien is a creature not born of the earth, right? So by definition, God is an alien, just by that definition alone. Yes.
Is Jesus an alien?
Jesus would be a hybrid. So Jesus would be half human. He would be a half human, half alien being.
Well, that explains all the strange
stuff. He's the zonkey.
I can hear Alex Jones in the background. He's a chimera.
Right.
You were going to say, Andy?
I don't even know what I was saying. It was just a crappy joke.
Okay. I was going to go on. So Jesus is the spork. He's the spork of demigods. Understood.
Well, so if you go to the Luke chapter 1, verses 26 through, let me get it, 35. That's the story of how Mary becomes impregnated. And in that story, Gabriel comes down from the heavens. Now, they thought the heaven was right up there, right? Like right up there. They didn't know about space. You know, we know that heaven's not there anymore. Well, Gabriel came from there, from space, down to Mary. And then in Luke chapter 1, verse 49, Mary admits to her cousin Mary, I believe, that the angel of the Lord did things to her, right? Things to her. So I think it's very clear. You know, I think it's very clear that something came from the sky and did something to Mary, and this virgin woman then became pregnant. In modern day technology, we have something that can do that. It's called artificial insemination.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So
makes a lot of sense.
It yeah. Okay.
Makes more sense than, you know, God making a virgin pregnant.
That's kind of why. Yeah, I couldn't argue. Yeah, my brain started going there. Well, you've got this argument, and then okay, no, that's better. I like your version better.
Yeah, it makes more logical sense.
Let's, if we can, let's ask the question to the panel, if we may. I'll end with me last, if my weed brain can remember the question. Who here believes in extraterrestrials? Not necessarily that they live here or that they've been here. That there is who believes that there is something else out there, intellectually, some thing. Who believes? Andy, let's go with Andy first.
Well, I think the smart money is on that there is life. Things that, you know, like replicators. I think we could use that term. That there are replicators out there and stuff that we would identify as life, as having the characteristics of life. Whether or not there's intelligent life, or at least intelligent life as we could identify it, and space traveling. You know, like warp drives. You know, life that seems a bit tenuous too, but to say that, but I would say that there is a great chance of there being life replicators out there that are we would identify as life too. Yeah, my big question is, if there are creatures that do have warp drive, then where are they? The
Fermi paradox.
Yeah. So we live in a universe where life seems to be, or at least the circumstances, the environment for life is somewhat common, I would say, right? There's water. Water seems to be around a lot of places. There seems to be a fair amount of planets in the habitable zone. So where is everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think that's my answer too. I believe mathematically, like, it would be very improbable for life not to exist, especially on a universal term. Just within our galaxy, there's probably other life. Do they have the technology, or would they be sentient enough to get here? I won't believe that until I see it.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
gotcha. Daniel, you're the pseudoscience guy. What are your thoughts?
So a lot of people that I've spoken to in cosmology, and especially astrobiology, they bring up two topics: life as we know it, and then life as we don't know it. Which is, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, it's a fun rabbit hole when you go into the topic of life as we don't know it. But when it comes to the whole idea of ET, the extraterrestrial kind of thing, I would not be surprised to find simple life forms on other planets. But when it comes to intelligent life, you got to think life came on Earth about 3.5 billion years ago. It took 3.5 billion years after we first know that life came to be, for us to have happened. So that's a long time for that to have elapsed. So intelligent life could be exceedingly rare. On scum could be common. Little squidly, fishy thingies could be even less common, but more common than intelligent creatures. And when it comes down to the whole Fermi paradox, we haven't been on the scene for very long anyways. If we did come across some alien species, their technology could be millions upon millions of years more advanced than ours. So we wouldn't even be able to distinguish the difference between technology and magic.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, I couldn't even imagine. They could be billions of years ahead. Honestly,
Yeah, they really could. Yeah, yeah. All right, so here's my 2 cents, and I want to point out a couple things that Sean Alexander says. Let me go back up just a little bit. I don't see how there couldn't be some kind of life on other planets. We've all kind of agreed on that mathematically, you know. And then here we go again. Brainbug backs it up, and listen, Brian the Brainbug backs it up. It's okay. It's mathematically improbable. Careful wording there, thank you. That life would not exist outside Earth. Okay, that's kind of my thinking too. Now, and also there's a couple of things weird, like Daniel was saying, we just got here. What about, surely there could be another species out there that just got here like us that we can't detect. There could be billions of species out there who just got here that we can't detect. There could be ones, like Daniel said, who are so far advanced we can't detect. Now, so I believe, based on nothing, obviously, the lack of evidence, that there's a mathematical probability that there's bound to be some other intelligent life out there. Now, is that intelligent life coming here and probing rednecks and ripping the lips off of cows? I don't think so. I'm having a hard time believing that kind of thing. You're going to have to show me the evidence there. Would they come here? If they could, those ones like Daniel said, billions of years ahead of us, wouldn't be surprised if they would. You know, there's warp traveling the speed of light is impossible. We kind of know that. Andy raised a finger.
Well, most of us, the geeks, and I'm going to butcher this term because everyone knows the term. A lot of people do, but and maybe Daniel can help me with this. The Alcibiade drive.
Yeah.
It's basically the idea that you can make a warp bubble, and literally, even though objects cannot travel faster than light, if you create a warp bubble around it, you're basically riding a wave of space faster than light. So that's how you can get around the whole traveling fast or not being able to travel faster than light.
If I may, I could actually show this as an example with just a piece of paper. So effectively, we know that when we think of travel, we always think of going from point A to point B. And when it comes down to what Andy's talking about, that warp drive
that's not the same. That's not what Andy's talking about.
There are two different ways.
You're talking about like a wormhole, like Stargate. That's what you're talking about. Yeah. That's not what Andy's talking about. Andy's talking about.
It's basically you create a wave. You put your spacecraft above the wave, and the wave travels faster than light. It doesn't mean that your object is moving fast. I know it's weird, right? I mean, but yeah, I believe the theory of it was developed by a graduate student back maybe in the 60s or the 70s. Once again, people in the chat probably know this more than I do. It was 1994. Miguel Alcibiade proposed a method for changing the geometry of space by creating a wave that could cause the fabric of space ahead of the spacecraft to contract and the space behind it to expand, shooting the spacecraft faster than light. There was actually something in the news maybe about a year ago, 6 months to a year ago, because the amount of energy it would take to actually make the drive work is like an incredible amount that makes it, unrealistic for us to do. But there was a scientist, and I'm just pulling this out of my memory banks here, who came up with a way to tweak the equation so that you wouldn't have to use as much of a massive amount of energy to do this.
I do know that we are trying to come up with different propulsion systems that would at least allow us to explore a lot more of our inner galaxy, the galaxy that's immediately around us. And we also are actually coming up with ships that would use solar sails, and they would be generational ships. You would colonize the ships. It would take a long time to get to where you're going. But this would be a way for us to reach some of these planets that are in the right spot to have life, to see if there's life there. But there's a whole lot of issues, and we're not talking within our lifetimes or even within my daughter's lifetime. We're talking several generations ahead.
Right. Well, even with like the Alcumbieri, I'm not really sure how you say it either. Even with that drive, it's kind of like an idea of not really trying to go faster than space. Star Trek is a good example. If you think of Star Trek as normal space would be an ice rink, and the warp drive just creates a bubble, and it's like taking an ice cube and tossing it on that ice rink, and it just slides across space. It doesn't go through space, So there's different ways. That's kind of where I was going. Generation or species out there, alien species out there, may have already overcome these things, like Daniel was talking about, that are far advanced from us. Would we detect them? Would they show? I think they lock their doors as they drive by us. We're like a science experiment. They probably watch, study. We're like, I
just want to bounce off something that Vesta Freya in your chat, Chris, says the problem with the warp bubble is to make it work is that you need to use negative energy, whatever that means. Yeah. Just looking at this at the Wikipedia article, the person who came up with the idea with tweaking the equation so that you don't have to use as much energy, the name is Harold Sonny White, and that was relatively recent. So yeah, definitely, it's not something that we will be able to see, more than likely, probably within our lifetime, within our children's or our children's lifetime. But it's just like, at least this is how I think of it. It's like how people didn't think you would be able to break the sound barrier at some point, right?
Yeah. I think,
and who knows? We could have another burst of technology to where these things do end up happening a lot faster. You never know what we really don't know the effects of AI, what that will be until it goes online, right? So,
right. And if we even barely get the workings of gravity of any kind of way, like gravity plating, to where we could do gravity, because that's kind of where with the Andes, the Alcumbier drive, it uses gravity to get that wake going in space-time. So if we could get those kind of things going, any kind of mastery of gravity, like we have light and such, that would be major.
I find hope in the fact that the smartest people in the world are working on these things now, well beyond our technological capabilities. They're dreaming, they're hoping, and that's how we're going to get there.
With those AI help, that helped.
Yeah.
It's funny. I just want to speak to what Vesta just wrote in your chat once again, Chris. This video by Sabine Hassenfelder, who's a physicist. I actually saw part of that video literally just like 5 minutes before I came on the show, Vesta. I started watching it. It's like, oh, okay. I'll just have to click back to that because I got to enter the backstage and get ready for the show. But yeah. There are videos about the drive and about the problems with the drive on YouTube.
Is it the same one you're talking about?
Yeah, it's the same basic idea about creating a water bubble and just moving space faster than light.
That's cool. That is cool. I mean, it wouldn't take very many breakthroughs in our lifetime to get us to that level. Yes, it would take breakthroughs, definitely.
I think maybe and maybe Daniel can speak to this about the trouble about setting a goal with technology or science that is so behind. Like, for example, maybe in ancient Greece, saying, "Well, go cure cancer," and putting all your resources in trying to fight cancer when you're so far, not even in close.
Yeah.
To
How do you tell?
Well, I think the real question would be, would the evil alien race known as Yahweh allow us to actually advance enough to get off this planet?
I see that's a Tower of Babel thing. Right? I'm pointing at the screen, but I should be pointing at the camera. That's a very much of a Tower of Babel thing.
Well, all right, so back to the fun part of the conversation. So Matthew chapter 17, Jesus shows Peter, James, and John that he is indeed an alien. And it reads, it's the transfiguration of Jesus. Christians know this story well. After 6 days, Jesus taketh Peter, James, and John, his brother, and bringeth them up into a high mountain apart, and was transfigured before them. And his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as the light. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elias talking with him. Now we know Star Trek. These aliens beamed down as he was revealing himself to his 3 greatest apostles.
Oh, that's another good one too. Does transporter technology kill the person that gets we'll come back to that. You guys go on with
it. Obviously makes them look like Bible prophets, you know.
Absolutely.
I didn't mean to derail the conversation. It was fun, but I was sitting on that
conversation. Actually,
you're actually bringing us back to the topic. Yeah, I'm looking at the Bible chapter now, 17, and there's a bright cloud covering them and a loud voice. You know, so that could easily be a spacecraft, right? They're just
it goes on to say, while he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, a voice out of the cloud, which said, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him." And when the disciples heard it, they fell on their face and were sore afraid. So yeah, like they didn't have words like UFOs and spaceships or even airplanes back then. They didn't have they didn't have these sciences back then. So they see something coming from the sky. They call it a cloud, right? Because that's what's up there, clouds. At one point, they step into this cloud and it carries them away. You know, so I mean, obviously, to me, this, as I said, it reads like a UFO story. Once you get rid of all that bullshit you learned when you was a kid.
Right.
Yeah. So there are several examples, not just Ezekiel, then, that have extraterrestrials popping in. Of course, naturally, now we know that God, any creator God, cannot be from Earth.
Yeah,
it's just kind of, you can't be from Earth and then create Earth.
I should have brought my clip of Matt Powell saying, "Well, by that definition, yeah, God's an alien," because that's just, it's Matt Powell. It's brilliant. So.
Yeah, that's why earlier I tried to separate it out. Surely God is an alien, but what is Jesus? That was the difference. God is an alien. How many of the angels or heavenly beings are also extraterrestrials?
Well, yeah, I don't have the verses to back this up, but I do have the verses, and I could, if anybody's interested. Maybe we'll talk about this on my open room tonight. But there are verses that actually describe the angels, and some of them are the 2 little beings worshiping the alien on my avatar here. But sometimes it's describing a freaking spaceship. When Jesus comes out of the tomb is one of those times where you could really look at it and say, hey, a spaceship is like right up there and it's causing the ground to rumble and do all of these things. I mean, it's crazy stuff. It's crazy stuff if you really read it without all that crap.
This kind of reminds me of this whole Heaven's Gate, like that Heaven's Gate thing from when the Hell-Bop comet came by. I feel like it should be putting on Nike shoes, having this conversation.
Well, the only true description of Satan in the Bible comes in the New Testament, and I don't have that verse either, but it's basically something that is as fast as lightning, right? So something very fast. I mean, and that was the physical description of Satan in the New Testament, was something as fast as lightning. Well, what is fast as lightning? A damn spaceship.
I have to. Effectively, we have Klingons and we have Vulcans.
Vulcans. When I was a kid, I had got this point where I was into pseudoscience. Well, what we call pseudoscience. I think it was one of those deals where you become aware of the world, and then you look around and you try to figure out what's real on your own. And that was some of the things that's where I did a lot of filtering on that as far as what I believed and what I didn't believe. And that's part of my religious thing too. I don't believe in ghosts or spirits. Aliens, I believe in aliens. I could be convinced with little to almost no effort, because I'm biased. I admit that I'm biased. Little to no effort that I'm predisposed to want to believe in.
I just want to know what the Bigfoot alien connection is.
Ancient aliens covered that. So Bigfoot lives interdimensionally, and Bigfoot is essentially the they're like the ground scouts for the aliens, right? Like, so they'll send the Bigfoot and they'll scout out the land, and the Bigfoot knows how to, it can exist interdimensionally, so it can stay hidden and it won't be seen. Yeah, I mean, every conspiracy theorist knows this.
Oh, okay.
Well, I have to remind the audience, I don't believe in none of this shit. I think it's all silly. I don't think that Jesus was a half alien. I I'm a mythicist. I'm not quite sold the fact that he lived at all.
Well, I used to I watch all these ancient alien things to see, and they're like, man, I'm like, wow, that looks very convincing, and this looks, I used to believe in a lot of this stuff, and then one day I sat down and somebody sent me a video that was against my. And normally I have a hard time with those kind of videos, but I watched it. It was like a 3-hour video. And it talked about, you think this is an alien working a spaceship on the lid of this thing in Aztecs? No, this is a guy talking about the tree of life. And it shows how it just makes, and just kind of disproved all of my ancient alien connections. I'm like,
I tell you, Megan of Digital Hammurabi, Dr. Josh's wife, she has probably the best takedown of the ancient astronaut theory that I've ever seen. I mean, she holds no bars and destroys it.
Yeah, I'm not saying it couldn't or didn't happen. I'm just saying that the things like that we talk about. I would not be surprised if we bumped into an alien and they're like, "Hey, we got video records of them building the pyramids. Check this out."
I'm not gonna lie, I got sucked into it. I got sucked into it too, Chris. That's why I wrote a paper. This is how I know all this stuff, because I wrote a paper. I read the Gospels with the intention, I'm gonna look with a very narrow eye, and can I interpret the Bible to be the ancient astronaut theory? And so I found a bunch of verses that I could do that with. And it's very, just like the Christians did, it's very easy to form a narrative based upon an interpretation that makes sense if you're using the actual verse. Like, it's a lot harder to dispute it.
So there are we got other things like Maxwell McGuire mentions. Ridley Scott had it right in Prometheus. Okay, so maybe God, overall God who created the universe, he's obviously an alien and he would be something else. That doesn't mean he would actually be the same creature that created man. Like Prometheus, I mean, God, if you will, outside created the universe. There's a universe over there. Now he goes and takes a shower, and while he's taking a shower, the species evolves, and it becomes like he says, the Prometheus, the engineers, the Prometheus story, and they seed Earth later, because there have been indeed billions of years where it could be that other species are ahead of us, and we're like the second generation. Third generation.
Well, and I think that would fall in line. So like they would seed the planets, right? So they would seed these planets, and then they would go out and visit these planets once they had estimated life had gotten to a certain point, right? Like, I mean, they would be able to mathematically. I mean, they would be so much farther advanced than we would. Than we would be.
I think almost the deal, though, the trickery of the math is that it's almost statistically unlikely for that not to be the case. Not for us necessarily, but for somewhere in this galaxy with hundreds of billions of galaxies, somewhere in this universe with hundreds of billions of galaxies with hundreds of billions of planets each, there's bound to have been a species that evolved somewhere and then thusly went on to spawn other races on other planets. It's almost statistically, I would think, maybe possibly. Are they near us? Are we going to see them? How far away would the improbability, if that is possible, would be so unreal that the notion that we'd ever see them is just fantastic.
I believe, by the theory that the history channels put forward, the Anunnaki came from Planet X, right? So it's that unknown planet in our galaxy that has that long orbit, and every once in a while it came close enough for Earth so the Anunnaki could come and play gods. I mean, everybody knows this, right?
We all know that. What's wrong with you people? That's right. Who'd have thunk it?
I tried. I was going to write an Anunnaki movie at one point. That's how fascinating I was. I was just fascinated by all of this crap,
Yeah. Well, I enjoy science fiction, but also
me too.
I know there's a difference in my mind. I understand there's a probability. I also understand there's a likelihood, and I just can't. I can't bring myself to say. All I can say is that I believe there's other intelligent life out there. Beyond that, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's more likely what Daniel Fisk Bennett is saying. If we believe in materialism, more than likely our form of creature is probably very rare. So it just considering the billions of years it took us for us to evolve to get here, most of the life in the universe isn't going to be anything like us, but we have proven that it's not an impossibility either. So who knows? I think that's the fascinating thing about the unknown, is that's where the imagination comes into play.
Right. Well, our mere existence.
Yep.
Biological life has a lot of limitations as it is. I mean, we're squishy. We break easy. It doesn't take much to kill us. So I wouldn't be surprised that if there was any significant, class 2, class 3 uh, life forms out there, I wouldn't be surprised if mainly AI machinery is doing their dirt, because I mean, let's face it, at least you send a probe out there, it's beyond what physical limits its ability to produce energy would be. That thing would be able to continue on for a while until something happened to it. Compared to like with us, we get old and we die, and I can imagine other animals or species or whatever the heck you want to call them would have the same kind of problem.
Yeah, and I know, like, once you get into like string theory, and get into really the physics of it, and I've done a couple debates on it now. Like, we know, like, if there is other intelligent life form in this universe, it would be carbon-based life form such as we are. But in the other hypothetical universes, there could be much different life forms altogether, and it's actually mathematically improbable that there isn't. And it would be hard for just like normal human beings to even imagine what those types of life forms could be. But here in our reality, in this universe, it's carbon-based life.
Well, I mean, there's as I said, there's life as we know it and life as we don't know it.
Yeah.
And I know that I thought it was entertaining to entertain at least the thought of silicon-based life, which that's able to, if by theory, so long as you remove oxygen from the equation, because oxygen will immediately turn into a silicon oxide. But if you don't have oxygen, something that would be silicon-based would be able to sustain temperatures higher or much lower with the chemical reaction. So, I mean, it's an entertaining thought. We have not yet seen it.
Yeah.
But I know that was one of the things that they were kind of entertaining the thought of on Titan, because there's a significant lack of oxygen there. And you look out there, it's like, are there something that looks like life as we don't know it on Titan?
Yeah. It's very interesting to think about. Yeah, like, I mean, just who knows what's out there in the universe? And honestly, like, for Christians to kind of deny, like, now that we know what the universe is, Christianity's got to expand. Like why would God stop with us when he has such a big canvas to work with? If you're a painter, you're not going to just paint a dot in the corner. You're going to use the whole damn canvas, right?
Yeah, geez, I mean, they make that whole damn. This God makes this whole damn universe, and then he gets pissed off and rub one out.
Yeah.
Pay no mind to the rest of the universe. So you pay all focus now goes on what I'm doing in the bathroom in my spare time.
Yeah, the biggest argument against intelligent design is, well, like, why would he create a universe that 99.99999 infinitely % of it is incapable of sustaining human life?
Well, these theological arguments when you just accept the fact that God is evil. As soon as you understand that God is evil,
not just evil, but an evil race of aliens, Andy.
Exactly. You've just cleared a circle right there. You've just been able to make it all work out. Predestination, aliens, everything. Everything now makes sense when you consider God is an evil race of aliens. Simple as that.
Oh yeah, I remember. I mean, I remember I did an article about debunking the perfect Earth idea, and then if you go into it even more, I mean, golly, the universe, I mean, is so hostile to life in general that it's just, intelligent design doesn't make any sense. I mean, crap. I mean, nothing says unintelligent design like a quasar. I mean, crap, that would just vaporize anything instantly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the fact that we have to take a shit or two a day, I think speaks against intelligent design. So,
one of the things I went through in my Evil God Monster of Abraham series, especially to think of a God creator as being benevolent. This God creator is benevolent, and then creates a planet full of creatures that have to kill and eat other creatures to survive. When you stop and think about it, there are literally trillions of murder, death, kills that have happened between the start of time and now. I mean, every day, how many animals die every day? and are killed by other animals just to survive. It's just
Well,
there's no benevolence there at all.
that's why a lot of early Christians thought that the God of the Old Testament was the devil, was just the evil God. It's like Jesus was
I think
of a different God. Is because it's obvious how evil the God is in the Old Testament and how the world is. That it would just make sense that there's an evil deity out there doing evil stuff.
Well, and again, like Jesus was screaming that he was an alien. John chapter 8, verse 23, he said, and he said unto them, you are from beneath, I am from above. Ye are of this world. I am not of this world. I mean, he's like, how clearer can you be? Seriously.
Yeah. Well,
and then he pushed his little thing and said, beam me up.
Okay, Rage. Let's say Jesus is an alien. Where's the math? Where's the math? Wouldn't there be more mathy parts of the Bible?
No, I mean he was a human alien, so he was. I mean, humans are ignorant. Come on,
He's a chimera.
He was the spork. He was the spork, and
I don't have the verses about the mountain, but he does go into a mountain that I have interpreted to be a spaceship, right? And in this mountain, you'll be familiar with this verse. He does talk about seeing all the kingdoms in the world in a moment of time. Like he's got all of this technology, and he's got video feeds on every kingdom of the world at that moment, and he can see them. Yeah, I mean, he's got cable. He's got Wi-Fi. He's got Wi-Fi. He could go on top of this mountain, and he could speak to his apostles, who would be all across Israel, right? They'd be all across Israel preaching the gospels, and he'd be in this mountain. He'd be like, "Yo, bitches, come back to the base," and they'd come back. I mean, it's clear. It's in the New Testament. It's there.
You know, I wrote a book back in 2013 called The Anti-Theist, and I was like, how the hell could Satan convince the whole host of heaven? That's an uncountable. If the host of it is uncountable, then a third of the host is uncountable. How did he do that? Was it like, on your Facebook? Did they have their own social media? Did he make little posts? We're meeting at this time now. Don't tell Yahweh. How did they do that? How'd that work?
Jesus was probably the most narcissistic selfie taker of all time. I'm just saying.
That's right. Look.
I'm just saying. Duck face, yeah.
Andy, your job, easy job today, huh, Andy?
It's an easy job, man. I just got I love it when there's 4 people here, to tell you the truth. Yeah. We got to get Rage on the third bowl on a regular basis. That's what we need.
Yeah. I started early this morning.
Third bowl.
It's about to be my 4th bowl.
Oh man.
That's right. So there's just different types of ways that we could think of as God/aliens. We've seen various different examples in science fiction. One of the ones that I thought was brought up by Daniel Fisk Bennett brought it up was the wormholes, when he was doing the little paper like that. And then we had Stargate, Miss Cindy Plaza, talking about wormholes and how with Stargate they actually. It's a lot of the alien God theory that we know be debunked, but it's fun, at least the science fiction of Andy.
Your bench in the in your chat says, Chris, he mentions the monolith in the desert that they found.
Yes.
2001. Someone has to be a big fan of Kubrick out there just to create the monolith and to drag it out into the desert and to bury it in, or at least to make it stationary. So
and they say it's nearly impossible to get there unless you fly there. So somebody took a lot of trouble to put that damn piece of metal there.
Are you saying aliens?
No, I think that a Stanley Kubrick fan definitely. A rich dude probably.
Yeah,
I would almost.
Oh man, if I had a bunch of money, I would mess with conspiracy.
Me too.
Time.
Oh, dude, I would have so much fun with it. I would have so much. I would leak emails about the Illuminati and New World Order.
Oh, yeah. I'd be sending things to Alex Jones all the time just so I can have a laugh.
Well, I always said that in case I ever make enough money off social media that I don't have to have a job. Like I'm going to go back to a job pretty soon once the vaccine's out. That I would just slip right into Operation Mayhem. That's all I would do. I would just kick it, move it out of Fight Club and start Operation Mayhem. That's what I would do with enough cash coming in.
And who wouldn't?
Oh, yeah.
Gotta have hobbies.
Gotta have hobbies.
I've wondered about that. Go ahead.
just go over to like Utah or something like that and go plant a T-Rex skeleton holding a tablet with with the Ten Commandments or something on it. Watch everyone lose their minds.
Yeah, I spoke earlier about when they went into the cloud. That was actually Luke chapter 9 verse 34. He says, "While he thus spoke, there came a cloud and overshadowed them, and they feared as they entered into the cloud." All right, I think we all know you can't go up into no cloud. It's just condensation. You're gonna fall.
Right. Well, I mean, that's kind of we're a lot of what you've been talking about is talking about, oh, well, that's obvious if you're an alien. But then again, it is also almost everything you've said would also be the same case if they were supernatural beings who were going up into heaven, rising up and being risen up bodily into heaven, or any of the things that they're trying to get us to believe.
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
would be the same case. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's all about an interpretation. So, like, of course, they believe in the supernatural. I think that's the problem. Is that's the lack of the justification for their belief, is that there's no justification to truly believe in the supernatural because we haven't been able to prove the supernatural in our entire existence.
Well, just to entertain the subject, any significant technology that's more advanced than the observer will appear as being magic or supernatural.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, even if they were supernatural beings to those people, then they would probably still be supernatural beings to us because we wouldn't even be able to comprehend the technologies that they would be using.
I'm surprised it took 45 minutes into the show before any of us said that. We all know it. It's all like common science fiction trope.
Yeah.
Who's a god? What would be a magic? And science is magic. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
We did it. Go us.
Well, I would say that, and once again, this is not to create an original thought of mine, but I would say that a supernatural element, a supernatural creature, or a god creature would not use the laws of nature, scientific principles, to do what it needs to do. That's the difference between like a miracle and magic. Magic is like proto-science, right. Well, maybe science that we don't understand. There's rules to science and to magic, supposedly, right? Though in magic it doesn't work. But with a miracle, it is the usurpation. It is the overturning of the law of nature.
Yeah, it's what makes it really hard to pin down the new interpretation of this Christian God. We have to remember, like, God wasn't always what he is now. He wasn't always this being that existed out of time and space. Like, he was literally a being that walked the Garden of Eden. This new interpretation of him being this spirit being that runs this universe, that can just like beam into our minds and subconsciouses, and that's how he reveals himself to us. There's no way we could pin that down and disprove it. That's the hard thing about this new modern claim.
Well, the thing is, if you don't know how to disprove a claim, maybe the claim is crap.
Exactly, the claim is crap.
I'm misquoting, or maybe I'm just paraphrasing Karl Popper. But you have to figure out how to. If you're going to make an assertion, there should be a way for you to be able to disprove the assertion.
The rule of falsifiability.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, and that's the whole thing, is like, that's always been when people are reading this Bible from 2,000 years ago, even if you're not taking it literally, you have to understand it's written from the context of somebody that lived 2,000 years ago, right? So you have to take like what they're trying to tell you and how they're trying to describe it, and you can't take it really seriously in the modern day. They were trying to tell stories to the people that lived back then that had a very different conception of the world than we do. And it's very easy to create narratives around those things. And that's what I was able to do with this whole this whole aliens thing in the New Testament. Once you create a narrative and you have authority behind that narrative, then it becomes hard to dispute it. And then it makes more and more sense. So yeah, I mean, to me, it's like more logical, but it's still just as silly. It's the same thing that they did all those years ago.
So I have a big question here for you, Mr. Raging Atheist. Is Jesus one of the Greys?
I think most likely Yahweh is, and Well, so I don't know, because like the whole transfiguration thing, that's not describing a gray. That's describing another alien theory, which would be the shining people, right? The shiny people. So
Do you want to define what a gray is?
yeah, well, a gray is my avatar today.
No,
So-
okay, right. That's great.
You know, that's a gray. And usually grays are described as very small figures. Now, if you go back to like old ancient Jewish days, and I'm not some expert on Jewish lore, so I could be butchering it, but I do believe that they believed that Yahweh was very small and actually lived within the Ark of the Covenant, this really small box. That would fit the conspiracy theory of the grays.
Wow. So wait.
You gotta warn me.
So Yahweh is an Asgardian Time Lord. Yahweh is an Asgardian Time Lord.
Yes.
Damn.
Huh? Yeah, mind blown. A Time Lord, Asgardian time from As. Now, if you're watching Thor for the movies, you're not thinking the same Asgard. But if you're thinking Stargate,
So I'm gonna throw us for another loop. Is the Ark the TARDIS?
yes, that's what I meant. Yes, the Time Lord, because he's in a box that's like multi-dimensional, whatever. I don't remember. It's been so long. Yes, good thinking. Put those together. That's good.
I knew
Make
this
that
was
movie.
going to be a
That's
fun conversation today.
Yes. We should do this again. I'm all about. Well, I still think I miss my Sci-Fi Saturdays, because Sci-Fi Saturday was indeed fun. It was just, when you throw religion into it again, I need to do something. I got a thing in my head that I got out, and I need to get it out there. And it's just I need to do.
Oh yeah, I mean we need to get like the on the radio talk little push buttons of Alex Jones screaming for everyone.
That's not a bad idea. Well, did any of you guys grow up listening to what the hell was the name of that show? Damn it! There was across the country is like an AM radio. Oh, it's like pseudoscience, nutbag.
Oh yeah, the one about the aliens, the George guy. I can't remember his name.
Yeah. They had like flying rods and little like rods that are here all around us all the time. We just can't see them. They're moving so fast.
That shit was crazy, man. I used to listen to that when I was in
somebody in the
Insomniac.
chat knows what we're talking about. They'll get our brain.
Oh yeah, I remember they're also talking about like lines on the Earth that are like special that had some sort of
Power
energy.
vortexes of
Yeah,
power.
ley lines. Everyone knows about ley lines.
Yeah.
They're the magical power, river
Yes.
that run around the planet. Sure, ley lines.
Yeah, that's why all the pyramids are on ley lines, right? Because if you're making stuff up, you might as well put the line right across the pyramid.
That's where I'd put it.
Yeah, right.
If I were me.
Well, I wonder if you incorporate one lie into another lie, and this is a mathematical equation, which someone's much smarter than me can figure out. If you have one lie and if you link it to another lie so that they reinforce each other, does that make it a stronger lie for people to believe in?
Mhm.
That's an interesting question, because then you can link all the lies together.
You're doing the whole corkboard yarn tying there.
Well,
Yes.
I think especially if it's a lie that you're taught when you're very young, and then all of the adults that believe the lie, and all the adults that lived before them believe that same lie, and it goes back and back and back, and it becomes harder and harder to escape that lie. It's not even really a lie anymore. It's just the reality of your perception.
Well, thinking out loud, you have this superstructure of lies, and so we see this in front of us, right? We see this with religion, of course, and then it being attached to different other lies, like climate change, for example, or anti-maskers. You see, and you're right, Rage. When you start off early with a base foundation of lies, it's easy to attach other lies to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I was reading the article that Chris
the maths on this. Someone's had to have done the maths.
I was reading the article that Chris shared. I think it was yesterday from Scientific American on conspiracy theory and how these people. Well, if you believe in one thing, you're more than likely to believe another thing. And this is something I've seen in the past a lot, where you'll find that these anti-vaxxers are also anti-vaxxers. There are also climate change denialists. There are also evolution denialists. They'll believe in things like ancient aliens and ley lines and all these other. And you find that their mind is just scrambled eggs.
Well, if I may, also I believe it's the other way as well. People of a liberal mindset tend to have the similar characteristics as well. But yeah, the people who on the conspiracy nutbaggeries, people tend to believe their mindset seems to line up with a certain population group set.
Well, they have there's separate sets of lies and delusions. With us on the left, we have a lot of anti-vaxxers.
Well, actually,
true.
it's funny that you say that, but anti-vaxxers are also a lot on the right as well. They found a positive correlation between QAnon supporters and anti-vaxxers.
Sure.
Not to get too off task. I mean, Alien Jesus is so funny to talk about.
No, that was good. Yeah.
Randy Quaid is cute.
Randy Quaid is crazy. That man.
Yeah, he's cute. He's cute. I'm pretty sure that I discovered who Q is. It's Randy Quaid.
It's Randy Quaid. That would be unfortunate for everybody, wouldn't it?
He's an alien.
I was about to say, is Q a gray or is Q one of the shiny people? Or
Q is the lizard man. We brought him in, Andy. We got him in.
Okay,
we
good.
figured it out.
You were saying, Andy?
Andy's me. A serious question and realized this was not the forum at this particular time to ask it.
This is not the place. Yeah.
We have long since checked logic out at the door.
We gave up on that earlier today. Yeah.
Well, actually, what I was thinking about whether or not anti-vaxxing was more prominent on one side than the other side, like left versus right. And
it just depends. I mean, you got your super granola hippie people on one side, and you have Bill Gates is putting chips in it on the other side. And one of my favorite insults to those people is I just laugh at them and say, "You're not worth microchipping."
Oh,
that's true. They microchip themselves. They got the phones and everything needed to track them is already there.
Oh yeah, but
there's no need.
Here you are. I thought we were supposed to leave logic at the door again.
True enough. Well, the article you were talking about the differences, there's a similarity and differences of belief styles of those people that I posted the other day. I wrote a sci-fi article, and we get attacked by an alien species. And one of the things they do is they release a virus into our population. And depending on the brain structure, hence the article, which you guys just read about last week, depending on your brain structure, the virus would do different things, or this pathogen, whatever, would do different things. If you were of that mindset, it would heighten your likelihood to start being more religious. You always go to church or whatever. If you were not that mindset, more liberal-minded, of a liberal mindset, they just kind of killed you off in a graphic manner, like the blood coming out the eyes. That's what the virus would do, which went to further the stigma created by the people on the right who saw this, and they're getting driven towards their church because of the thing going on in their brain. So there's a definite brain structure difference. Well, me and the nurse wife, studied out the brain difference. There were studies done, the differences between conservative minded people and liberal minded people, and we played on those to write the novel. Sure. And now we've got that study from Daniel Fisk-Bennett. So there we go. Okay, I'm going to do a thing about that one of these days. I'm getting ready. I'm tired of not doing something about it. Anyway, I think we've done the hour.
We did the hour.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. So guys, you guys are wonderful. We're not going to broadcast tomorrow. I'm going to drop pre-recorded shows tomorrow for those people who want to watch, who like watching our stuff. I'm going to drop a pre-recorded show. If you watch on Andy's channel or Nokasuchi's channel, I'm going to go back before we started streaming to your channel, and I'm going to drop a video that you haven't seen. So please come and join us tomorrow and Friday for our, they'll both be recorded shows. Us three guys, we're going to take a break for those kind of things. Nokasuchi will still be streaming because that's all he does. He's just a stream machine.
Yeah, I'll be streaming.
Yes. So and don't bounce out yet, guys. We still got the commercial. I want to show you all the Wild Bill before you head out. Andy, what do you got going on for a Wednesday? Anything, brother?
Well, I've been dropping down these short comedy bits, these comedy videos. So I'll be dropping down at least one or two later on today. I'm not sure what they're going to be like. It takes a while for me to figure out what's funny and what's in the news and what's topical. So I'll be dropping at least one or two comedy shorts today. My one about Pat Robertson before and after the election, about his failed
Mhm.
prophecy has been blowing up. Well, blowing up for me. It's got a little bit over 6,000 hits. If you haven't seen it, you can check out it on my channel.
That's awesome. Awesome. Nokasuchi, what do you got going on, brother? Unmute.
He's on the fourth
Yeah,
boat.
sorry. I guess I'm going to be getting a copyright strike from Von Helton today. That'll be interesting. So,
Fun for the whole family.
yeah. I am going to be streaming at 12 o'clock today, part 1 of my Thanksgiving Day special. Then I will be streaming tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern for an open room. Tomorrow, part 2 of the special, and these Thanksgiving Day specials, I went into a Praise I Am That I Am stream Monday night, pretty late, and I was talking with white Christians, about Thanksgiving, and I was giving the Native American perspective. It was sad. So I'm going to be showing that for the next 2 days, starting at noon today and then 10:30 p.m. tomorrow. And then I have a one-on-one with Philip Amon tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, and another one-on-one with a new, very interesting Christian on Friday. So yeah, lots of streaming.
Yeah, you got a lot going on, brother. Good. Daniel, you don't have a channel, so
I got a couple things going on.
Go on,
So on the website, I did recently write an article in the Scientific Atheist about how right-wing media like Fox News is intentionally brainwashing our senior citizens in the way they are constructing their shows. I also, by the way, I think Nokasuchi would appreciate this one. Matt Powell actually came up to visit me once. He literally came all the way up here to he was making some sort of movie.
Really?
He said, yeah, and it failed. It was he had like a trailer on there. If you go to his channel, he had that, and he actually came up here to ask me questions. We had an interview and everything, and much to his chagrin, I told him everything had to be exactly as it was written because I refused to ad-lib with him. Because I knew that's what he wanted to do. And I think that drove him absolutely up the wall because he wanted to interact with me ad-libbing, and I said no.
Gotcha.
So there's actually also on my website, you can see Matt Powell asks me a bunch of these questions, and you can see my responses. And that's exactly, I kept it as is. And I don't think Matt Powell liked that I refused to get into the mud with him.
Right.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. That's awesome.
He does make the rounds.
Yeah, I might be debating him again soon.
You'll have to tell us about that. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I'm going to run the Wild Bill commercial. You guys have a wonderful day. We will see you tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving. If you're into Thanksgiving, if you're not into Thanksgiving, we're not really into it. We're just taking the day off. Wife's getting the day off, and we're going to enjoy it. And I'm just going to spend the time with the wife. So you guys have a good one. We will see you Monday. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care. Hello, and welcome to Shakespeare with a Redneck. What the? I am Wild Bill Wigglestick, and I'll be your handsome host, your gilded guide, your cowboy concierge of Shakespeare. Dude, really? Today on Shakespeare with a Redneck, I'm going to perform the prologue from Romeo and Juliet. Damn it, Bill. Two households, both alike in dignity in fair Verona, where we lay our scene. From ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean. From forth the fatal loins of these two foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their life, whose misadventured piteous overthrows doth with their death bury their parents' strife. The fearful passage of their death-marked love and the continuance of their parents' rage, which but their children's end not could remove, is now the 2 hours traffic of our stage, the which if you with patient ears attend, what here shall miss, our toil shall strive to mend. Hey, that wasn't half bad. I'm not as dumb as I look. Of course not. You'd be in a coma. Okay, so here's a quick rundown of the situation. Bill, two snot-nosed brats ignore the warnings of their learned parents and end up getting 4 people killed. Bill, come on, man. You're always blah, blah, atheist stuff, blah, blah, boring. Say something fun, for goodness sake. What? Particle is a fun word. Bill, particle. Bill, Or talk about horses and dogs. People love horses and dogs. Or boobies. Everybody loves boobies. Bill. Oh, can I say boobies on YouTube? If you close your eyes, it doesn't count. Talk about boobies then. Okay? Everybody loves those cute little blue-footed bastards. It hurts right here. Culture, baby, coming at you. Avoid bringing a plague on both your houses. A plague on both your houses! By hitting that subscribe button, then that little notification bell. And bang that thumbs up button like frisky cousins at a family reunion. Thank you and take care. Peace. Thank you for watching the show. A special shout out to my gold level Patreon supporters, Cindy Plaza and Ian Davenport. Thank you and have a great day.